All right, today we are stepping right into a storm. But this isn't a storm of wind and rain, no. This is a storm of living, intelligent lightning. We're about to ascend to the fifth of the mystical palaces from the Zohar, Heichal HaChameshi. And you've got to understand, this isn't a place you just visit. It's a living, breathing engine of transformation. And we're going to peel back the layers and see exactly how it works.
You know, this whole idea, which you see in foundational texts like Sefer Avodat HaKodesh, it completely flips our understanding of prayer on its head. It's not some static request you just send out into the universe hoping for the best. No, it's an active, kinetic ascent. Your soul is actually on a journey, climbing 18 distinct levels to reach the ultimate source of creation. Think of it like a ladder. Today, we are climbing to a very, very energetic rung.
So Section 1, Prayer. The ascent begins right now. And look, we're not just going to analyze this text from a distance. We're walking the path together. We are stepping inside this palace to understand its mechanics from the inside out.
Okay, so to get our bearings, let's just do a quick recap of the journey so far. It all started with purification back in the first palace, Livnat HaSapir. From there, we went up to encounter our spiritual identities, the soul's garments, in the second palace. Then we had to pass through those gates of judgment and illumination in the third, and just recently we were dwelling in the incredible, expansive love of the fourth palace. You see, each stage has built on the last, preparing the soul for what's next. But what comes next? Well, it's on a completely different level.
So here's our blueprint for today's deep dive. First, we're going to experience the fifth palace as this storm of living lightning. Then we'll break down the anatomy of that storm to figure out how it works as a divine execution engine. After that, we'll explore how you would even navigate this matrix, and finally, we'll look at the resolution, the ultimate output, and the path forward.
All right, Section 2, the fifth palace. Let's do this. We're leaving the quiet, serene love of the fourth palace behind us. The energy is shifting. You can feel it crackling. We have arrived at the threshold of the storm.
The very first thing you notice is a feeling. The spiritual air here crackles with an almost electric tension. Drawing on descriptions from texts like Sefer Harazim, what's in front of you isn't a building made of stone or even sapphire. It's a storm that's been given form, an architecture of pure, dynamic energy. There's a sound like a rushing sea, and the air just hums with this immense contained power.
The Zohar has a name for this place, Heichal Devarka Zahir, the palace of flashing, living radiance. And that word, living, is absolutely key. Barka Zahir isn't just bright light, it is living lightning. It's intelligent, it's responsive. Think less of a random bolt from the sky and more like the neural network of a cosmic brain, firing off signals with intention. This is sentient energy.
And this living lightning, it has a rhythm. This isn't just chaos, it's a signal. The Zohar uses this incredible Aramaic phrase, pichan v'skeman, a constant rhythmic opening and closing. You see these huge currents of light pulse open, revealing these blindingly brilliant realities inside, and then, in an instant, they slam shut, hiding everything. It's like the palace itself is breathing, a massive cosmic inhalation and exhalation of pure, divine light.
And right there, at the very core of this pulsing storm, a diagna, a vast human-like form, flickers in and out of existence. It's not solid. Its body is literally made of the storm, and it's constantly reconfiguring itself. It shifts through this incredible spectrum of colors, blinding flashes of white, deep, percussive reds, a balancing green, and then this deep, grounding sapphire. This is the control system at the heart of the chaos. Now, if you were standing there, you would feel both absolute terror and this overwhelming sense of beauty. It's a paradox of divine power. And it begs the one question that's going to drive the rest of our journey here. What is all of this for? What is the function of this beautiful, terrifying, living storm of light?
Section 3, Anatomy of a Light Storm. Okay, so we've had the immersive experience. Now it's time to put on our engineering hats. Let's pop the hood on this divine engine and see what's actually powering this storm. The power source for all this machinery, the fundamental components, are the Sephirot. Really, the best way to think of them is as the 10 fundamental forces, or maybe the primary colors, through which the unknowable divine expresses itself and builds all of reality. And in this palace, these forces are raw, they're active, and they are on full display. And none of this is random. Each visual we just saw maps directly to a Sephirotic power source. Remember those terrifying flashes of red and black lightning? That is the raw power of Gevura, severity, the force of strict judgment.
Those calming, expansive pulses of pure white light are its total opposite, chesed, or kindness. The green hue that seems to bring balance to the whole storm? That's tiferet, beauty, which harmonizes the red and the white. And the rhythmic flickering, that pichan vestimen, is driven by the oscillating energies of Netzach and Hod. Finally, all this processed energy gets transmitted through Yesod, the foundation, where all the colors converge into this sapphire-like conduit, delivering the final output down to Malchut, the kingdom, which receives it all as a manifestation of blue.
But here's the crucial point, the dominant energy here. This is the fifth palace, right? And it corresponds to the fifth Sephira, which is Gevurah. This is its home turf. Gevurah is the power of din, of strict, sudden, unyielding judgment. It's the force that cuts away everything that's unnecessary, the fire that purifies. Its visual signature is that red lightning. So this palace is fundamentally a place where the awesome power of Gevurah is being harnessed.
But these forces aren't just flying around in a vacuum. As this amazing line from the Zohar Chadash explains, they're all integrated. They all come together and clothe themselves in a single, unified structure. That human-like form we saw flickering in the storm, the Dukna. That form is the integrated circuit board where all these different Sephirotic energies connect and find their expression.
So if we use the classic Kabbalistic model of Adam Kadmon, the primordial human form, we can actually map the Sephirot right onto this Diukna. Tiferet, the balancer, is the torso. It's the core of the whole system. Chesed and Gevurah are the right and left arms, reaching out with kindness on one side and severity on the other. Netzach and Hod are the legs, the two pillars providing that stable, oscillating rhythm of the opening and closing. Yesod is the channel, the conduit, that transmits the system's final unified output downwards. And Malchut is the point of contact, kind of like feet on the ground, receiving that transmission into our reality.
Okay, so we know the parts, we know the power sources, and we know how they're all wired together. But what does this system actually do? Because it's not just a storm. It's a high-speed, dynamic execution engine.
This is where it gets really cool. What the ancient mystics called the opening and closing spirit, we can understand today as a pulse-based processing cycle, almost like in a computer. A prayer that arrives at this palace isn't just a wish, it's a command input. It's a line of code you submit for execution. The incredible transformation inside that storm of light, that's the dynamic reconfiguration and processing of your command. And the result is a successful process completion, a transformed output that literally alters spiritual reality. So here's how the 5-step cycle works. Step 1, your prayer, your intention arrives as an input. Step 2, the Pachan phase. The gate of light pulses open and the system accepts the input. Step 3 is the execution burst. In this brilliant high-frequency flash, the full power of all the Sephirot, especially that intense energy of Gevurah, processes the command. This is the moment of transformation. Step 4, the Stigmon phase. The gate slams shut. The system conceals itself to reset for the next cycle. And finally, Step 5. The newly configured spiritual reality is channeled as an output through Yesod, all the way down to Malchut to manifest in the lower worlds.
So we've basically reverse engineered the system. Now let's bring it all back down to the human level. What does it actually mean to navigate this? How does a soul interface with this divine matrix? Well, we can understand this incredibly complex reality through two different but equally valid perspectives. For the kid in all of us, it's like a high-speed video game level. For the more analytical mind, it's like interfacing with a cosmic engineering system. So let's imagine the video game version first. The objective of the lightning level is to get across this chaotic space by jumping on platforms of light that are constantly appearing and disappearing. That's the opening and closing. Your guide is that giant glowing figure, the Diekna, which is reconfiguring the path for you in real time. The bursts of colored light, those are your power-ups. Red gives you a speed burst of Gevurah. White gives you a shield of Chesed. And the main challenge is just trying to maintain your focus, your intention, in the middle of this dazzling, high-speed sensory overload. Victory happens when you reach the core of that central figure, interfacing with it to complete the level and completely transform the game world.
Okay, now for the cosmic engineering version. Instead of jumping, you're interfacing. Your goal is to modulate the frequency of your prayer, your input, to sync up perfectly with the system's pulse cycle, to catch that opening phase. The Diukna acts as the central processor, a dynamic CPU that reconfigures its own structure based on the real-time data flow from the Sephirot. You don't get power-ups, you experience a high-frequency energy transfer as the system executes your command in these powerful bursts. And you don't win.
You receive the transformed output as a new data packet of spiritual reality, successfully delivered to the Malchut operating system.
So, two totally different ways of describing the exact same profound process. But what's the ultimate result? After navigating this system successfully, where does it all lead?
After the storm, after the pulse cycle, after all the reconfiguration, the process resolves. All those separate, chaotic, conflicting colors, the red of judgment, the white of mercy, the green of balance, they all converge. And the output isn't another storm, it's a single, unified, coherent flash of pure white light. That flash signifies that all the forces have been harmonized and integrated toward a single purified purpose. All that complexity resolves into a powerful, elegant simplicity.
And this brings us right back to the number 5. This is the 5th Heichal. It corresponds to Gevura, the 5th Sephirah. In Kabbalah, the number 5 often represents the state of dynamic intensification, a concentration of power. It's the stage where that raw, severe force of Gevura isn't just something you encounter, but something that gets actively harnessed, integrated, and used as the engine for this powerful, high-speed transformation. This really is the crucible.
And this right here, this is the ultimate payoff. As this beautiful quote from Sefer Shirei Orai explains, once the prayer has successfully passed through this engine and been unified, it reaches the level of Ratzon, or divine will. And at that point, all resistance just ceases. Every gate, every barrier is thrown open. There is nothing left to prevent the request, because the prayer is now perfectly aligned with the creative will of the cosmos itself. It's no longer a request coming from the outside. It has become part of the divine flow. You see, this isn't just some ancient mystical theory. It is a blueprint for transformation. So, we want to leave you with this thought. If your prayer, your deepest intention, were a command for this very engine, an engine that can reconfigure reality in a flash of light, what new reality would you ask it to create?
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.